Morning, everybody. Supposed to say like good morning back, but that's all right. Good morning, everybody. All right. I feel like a school teacher when I do that. But listen, the reason that organized labor is standing up here with manufacturers, with contractors, with folks that are important to the industry that surrounds construction, because it's about jobs. It's a very, very simple concept. Our building and construction trades here in the city of Chicago is down about 35 to 40%. That's unemployment. That's not underemployment. Underemployment is a whole nother avenue that we can walk down together, but people have to understand we're in stress. People are hurting. Foreclosure rates are up. Unemployment is the highest it's been in a quarter of a century. People aren't working. If we were to stand here a year ago or 2 years ago, we'd see behind us a sea of tower cranes, and we'd keep people working. But today we stand here, there's not a tower crane in sight. Not one tower crane in sight in my eyes. The point being is that we need jobs. We need jobs now. It's not tomorrow. It's not next week. We need to put people back to work, and we need to make sure they're middle-class jobs to provide for families throughout this country. This isn't just a problem here in Chicago. This is across the country. I know we've tried to address the capital situation in the state of Illinois, and we had a governor and a legislative branch that stepped up to the plate for $33 billion. But now we're having problems getting it passed because of video poker being $11 billion worth of that vehicle to put people back to work. It's about making sure that we have safe roads and safe bridges. People don't talk about that. Wasn't that long ago in Minnesota, we had a catastrophe take place there where people lost their lives because bridges weren't safe, because roads aren't safe. Was just the other night on the expressway right here, the Kennedy Expressway, where we had the road kind of implode, and we had folks being their commute back and forth was a couple of hours. That was one situation. How many bombs, atomic bombs, are we sitting out there between roads and bridges? We need to make sure our legislators in Washington, D.C. understand how important it is for us to make sure we have safe roads and bridges for our families, but also to put people back to work. I stood right here not that long ago when President Obama was trying to be elected President of the United States, and he was. We had really like an interview for all 7 Democratic candidates right inside Soldiers Field. President Obama, this was his, when he was a senator in Springfield, Illinois, this was his district. The West Building at McCormick Place was a piece of legislation that he co-sponsored. The rebuilding of Soldiers Field was a piece of legislation in Springfield that President Obama sponsored. The deal at O'Hare Field, the expansion of O'Hare Field, the renovation of O'Hare Field, the modernization of O'Hare Field happened on President Obama's watch when he was a U.S. Senator. So it's time, Mr. President, to make sure that we put this country back to work. We put people back to work that understand what it means, whether you're in the manufacturing end of it or in the construction end of it or in the jobs end of it. We're tied at the hip. This country's recession, depression has been felt on our backs. Now it's time for us to ask the folks in Washington and in Springfield to put our people back to work. It's real simple. They don't feel the pressure. They felt the pressure from Wall Street, and they reacted. They need to feel the pressure from us, from our group, in order to make sure that they react in the same way. They can find $1 trillion to bail banks out. They can find $1 trillion to put people back to work. It's a real simple concept. But I thank you for your attention. I appreciate being part of this group that's going to push to make sure we get a transportation bill.